Hello friends, so today's story is The Unexpected Visitor. On the outskirts of a quaint little village, there was a small farmhouse owned by Mrs. Rose, an elderly widow who lived alone. Despite her solitude, Mrs. Rose found joy in tending to her garden where she gained the most beautiful flowers in the village. One gloomy afternoon, as dark clouds gathered and the wind howled, Mrs. Rose felt particularly lonely. Her arthritis was acting much, making it difficult for her to tend to her garden. She sat by the window, never staring at the flowers she loved so much, feeling a deep sadness wash over her. Just then, she heard a faint knock at the door. Surprised, she slowly made her way to the entrance and opened it and found a small, scruffy dog sitting on the doorstep, looking up at her with big, blabbing ears. He was shivering with cold and looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Mrs. Rose's heart melted. "Well, hello there," she said softly. "Where did you come from?" She gently picked up the dog and brought him inside. She dried him off with a towel, gave him a warm bath, and fed him a hearty meal. The little dog wagged his tail gradually, curling up in a cozy corner of the kitchen. Mrs. Rose decided to call him Lucky. Over the next few days, Lucky brought an unexpected joy into her life. He followed her everywhere, wagging his tail enthusiastically and providing her with companionship and unconditional love. They took walks together in the garden, and Lucky could chase butterflies while Mrs. Rose tended her flowers. One evening, as Mrs. Rose sat by the fireplace with Lucky curled up on her lap, she realized that the little dog had filled a void in her heart she hadn't even known it existed. His playful artist and the loyal presence had brought a spark back into her life, lifting her spirits even on the darkest days. News of Lucky's arrival spread through the village, and soon the magical began to visit more often, bringing treats for the lucky and enjoying Mrs. Rose's company. The farmhouse, now once a quiet, low and lonely, was now filled with laughter, warmth, and friendship. Lucky had become more than just a pet. He was become an happiness and the reminder that sometimes joys come in the most unexpected forms. Whenever Mrs. Rose felt sad or angry, she only had to look at Lucky's wagging tail and cheerful demeanor to feel her heart lift. And so, in the little farmhouse on the outskirts of the village, Mrs. Rose and Lucky lived happily there, bond growing strongly with which each passing day. Lucky had not only found a home, but it also brought a new lease of life to Mrs. Rose, proving that love and happiness can be found even in the simplest moments. Thank you. Bye bye.